this is definitely going to be the hottest hike I've ever done. Most likely the slowest too. Okay, here we are at Silly Mountain, southeast corner of Apache Junction, Arizona. Today is July 31st. It is 4:05 in the afternoon. Temperature is somewhere around 113 degrees. I think the cars read a little bit higher than what it actually is. So today's hike is just about a little experimentation. Seeing how I feel in this heat, safely obviously. I'm not going to push it. I'm going to make sure I feel perfectly fine. If I do start to feel any lightheadedness, dizziness, anything like that, I'm turning right around and coming back. But otherwise, I'm just going to try to make it up to the summit of Silly Mountain and talk about hot weather hiking. I guess the number one tip for hiking in hot weather like this is not to do it. But I think to myself, what if I find myself in a situation where I can't help it, or anybody for that matter? What would you do? I think the number one thing you could do would be to find shade as quickly as possible. But as you can see on a place like this, that's somewhat of a problem. Yeah, I can feel my heart rate up pretty significantly, and I'm not, I'm taking it really slow. Definitely sweating pretty substantially too, which is a good thing. But there's only so much water the human body can carry, and that's the problem. Yeah, the problem in this kind of heat is you can't replenish the water that your body loses. So what I've read, and I'm sure these numbers are a little different for everyone, is that you lose around 1.5 to 2 liters per hour, but can only absorb, I think, half a liter per hour. It seems kind of low, but I'm sure people have done studies on it. I mean, maybe the problem simply with us is just, we're so used to air conditioning, comfort, etc., that when we get out here 30 degrees warmer than what we're used to, or 40 degrees, our bodies just can't handle it. I'm sure there's a point where no matter what you do, you're going to be in too much trouble. It's too hot, but I'm sure if we condition ourselves, it probably wouldn't be as bad. All right, well, I made it to the summit. Silly Mountain is the closest mountain to me. It was a 8 or 9 mile drive here, and a straight line distance probably only 2 miles. So this is Apache Junction here, and then the front range of the Superstition Mountains right here, and then Gold Canyon here, which extends well over onto the other side of Dinosaur Mountain there. Yeah, so the two biggest notables so far, heart rate definitely elevated, even though I was taking it really slowly. It's not much of a climb, but it's still a decent little slope at the end. But yeah, heart rate really elevated, I can tell, and then sweating more than I think I would be in 19% humidity. So yesterday was the hottest day of the year. I think it got to 115 here, and a little bit hotter down towards Phoenix. The main reason for doing this video was just to kind of see how I feel. I didn't think I'd be in too much danger, but yeah, reading about all the deaths of hikers in Arizona over the past several years, I did get a little nervous. And the other reason for doing this video is just to open up the discussion in the comments. So I'd like to hear people's thoughts, opinions, any research, facts, and whatnot that are related to this topic, because it's a good thing to know. I mean, chances are nowadays, if you don't deliberately go out here, you're not going to have any problems, but I guess there always is that chance of maybe doing like a multi-day trip and all of a sudden the temperature spikes, from 80 to 110, and you're out in the middle of nowhere and your water's running low, or you're just traveling somewhere and your car breaks down, and you just, whatever, it's a remote dirt road and you can't get a cell phone signal or whatnot, and you're stuck out there. And I guess those would be the situations where there could be problems. But yeah, I mean, most of the deaths in recent years were just hikers that came out by choice when it was hot, possibly just pushed themselves to the point of no return. That's my feeling. It's one thing to just come out here and be in the heat. It's another thing to exert yourself in it, and that may be where the real problem lies. I'm not gonna lie, I am somewhat acclimated to this already. One thing, just living here for the past 9 months with the lower humidity and recently the higher temperatures has helped. My wife and I keep the air conditioning set at 80 or 81 all the time versus 72 or 75, so it makes a little bit of difference. And I try to get out and outside, at least in the garage, as often as I can and work out. I did work out on the previous hottest day of the year, which was also, I think, 115 in my garage. And then the past several Sundays, I've been going out and just doing a little high points here or there, pushing it too. It hasn't been 115. I think the hottest I've done it in was 107. So, I mean, that's definitely helped, I know. In terms of liquids, obviously, the more water you have with you, the better. But I've also heard that if you mix salt in the water, sugars in the water, that does help the absorption. You're able to absorb a little bit more of the liquid with salt and sugar mixed in with it. I correspond a lot with a viewer named Peacetrain, and he has an awesome title for a video. I'm not gonna share it now because maybe he'll make the video and use that title eventually, but yeah, we've been talking about this for over a year now. It was last July when the former moderator of Big Bend Chat passed away in Big Bend National Park, most likely due to heat exhaustion. He was on a lower trail in the afternoon and unfortunately succumbed to the elements. And it was that got me thinking, him thinking too, about just, what do you do in the hot weather? How can you possibly, avoid that, or at least, keep your risk to a minimum? And like I said earlier, there's probably only so much you can do once it gets to a certain temperature. And once you start running out of water, your body's just going to lose water too fast. If you can't cool it off, that's it. That's it. Man, I could feel worse right now. Maybe I actually do, but these views are just taking care of that. This is just so beautiful. Man, I'm so blessed to be here. One more thing I didn't mention, clothing. I have long pants and long sleeves on, which again, this is just what I've heard, that that's helping to obviously it keeps the sun off of your skin directly, and then just keeps kind of the moisture and the sweat in there a little bit more. Well, so after this little bit of experimentation here, I think the number one thing for me that's going to get you is the overexertion. This is just my opinion. If you can find shade, if you have at least some water, if you can avoid exerting yourself, you can probably give yourself a chance of riding out a day of extreme heat. But those are big ifs in the middle of the desert, if you can find the shade and if you can have enough water. But to me, it's the exertion. If you're overexerting yourself, you're probably gonna push yourself past the point of no return. And so being in shape helps, but it's not the only thing. Even someone in really good shape can potentially succumb to the elements out here for sure. The heat is definitely not something to mess around with. It's something to be cautious of and to probably avoid most of the time. If you are going to hike in the heat, just be prepared with enough water, be prepared with a backup plan. Don't go too far, and just make sure you know your limits. I wonder how many people drove by, saw my car, and thought, what is that idiot doing out here right now? And yeah, they're probably right, but they probably aren't into hiking as much as I am. Okay, my car is still reading 115 degrees outside. I hope that's really what it is, but it's probably a little bit colder than that. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone.